Hey guys, SweetBananaGaming here, coach of your Orlando Solgaleo, here with yet another PGBL Season 2 Week 10 Team Builder video for you. As you guys know, I mentioned it in the previous Team Builder, I was having some issues getting the Week 10 battle arranged, and I mentioned this on my last stream for those of you who were there, but long story short, my opponent had some issues, both related to, technical issues and issues outside of PGBL, so there was another opponent, I think it was the NY Charmanders, had a similar, had an issue with their opponent as well for Week 10, so what worked out is that we're going to be battling each other, so we're going to be facing the NY Charmanders as our Week 10 battle, and I'll try to put these videos up like in the middle of the week, so that hopefully I get my Week 11 battle done, and that'll be up on the weekend. So that's the plan. So this might go up Wednesday with the battle going up Thursday, something like that. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Anyway, my opponent's team has, instead of a Venusaur, has Mega Venusaur, Volcanion and Noivern as the Z captains, Excadrill, Hippowdon, Espeon, some pretty intimidating Pokemon for the most part. Poipole on there as, if I remember correctly from the draft, it was kind of like a joke draft pick, but, whatever. It is what it is. I don't think we'll be seeing Poipole, but depends. If he wants to troll me, since I have my Naganadel, he could bring, his expert Poipole strats that he's been working on, but I doubt it. So anyway, Pokemon I'm expecting to see, really he could bring any of these guys. I would suspect, he'll probably bring his Mega, and he'll bring one of his Z captains at least. If I had to venture to guess, I would say most likely would bring, the Volcanion. If he only was gonna bring, I'll put it this way, if he's only gonna bring one of his, Z users, I would say the Volcanion. If he could bring both and just make one of them the Z user. One thing, let me check real quick, because Noivern is the fastest dragon. Yep, 2 points faster than the Naganadel. So I would need one speed boost to outspeed Noivern, which means he might bring the Noivern, just to be able to hit Naganadel pretty hard. But I would expect he might have some sand synergy. If he brings Excadrill, he'll probably bring Hippowdon just to beef it up a little bit. And what does Excadrill get? Sand Rush, I think, to boost its speed. Is Sand Rush one of the abilities it gets? Now I'm blanking. I always get like Sand Rush and Sand Force, and I don't get them mixed up. I know what they do, but as far as what Pokemon gets them, I get those mixed up. So I'll look that up momentarily. But anyway, I'd expect those two to go together just for some synergy there. And Espeon probably to prevent, discourage hazards from coming out on the field. Electros is always a good choice because it's got no weaknesses. I would expect him to play pretty heavy with the ground theme because of my Naganadel. So I would probably expect his two ground types. I would expect maybe a few other Pokemon to have Earthquake, maybe even run Mega Venusaur, physical Mega Venusaur, or mixed Mega Venusaur with Earthquake. Could always happen. So anyway, let's go over my team. Spoilers for you guys. Let me scroll down here. I can't scroll all the way down. So I'm actually bringing the same Pokemon with the same EV spreads and items as I was going to bring for Week 10. And that was not a decision that I made too lightly because I was thinking about, the main thing I was thinking about was whether to find a place for Paul, for Slowbro, to fit on this team. And I went back and forth. It ultimately was looking like it was going to come down to between Paul and Midna, between Slowbro and Lycanroc, but Lycanroc just hits things hard, it's fast, it has that priority, so that is what I'm leaning towards, and, oh, I forgot to change a move on it, by the way. Alright, so let's just go down the line, because most of these Pokemon, they're the same, but I've tweaked, or I'm considering tweaking one or two moves on the sets, so it's not just like carbon copy, oh, I'm lazy, I'm gonna bring the same Pokemon over. It just so happened in certain cases that Pokemon such as Delmise matched up decently against some of these Pokemon. And that a lot of the sets, like I want to use that same Clefable set, for example, a lot of these sets seem to mesh pretty well, even against this team. And I mean, I decided to pet Sarge while he was sitting behind me. That was a mistake, he bit me. He's such a scamp. Anyway, let's try to make this quick, because like I said, these are the same-ish the same EV spreads, so there's not too much new to go over. Just kind of go over how it relates to this team now. So we got Mega Absol, knockoff to do just damage to things, get rid of some items. It would be important, like if I want to, like I would expect the Excadrill to have Air Balloon, maybe Focus Sash, but more likely Air Balloon or Choice Scarf. So knockoff would be key in getting rid of that. Knockoff to get rid of, let's see, if I don't think I'd stay on the Hippowdon, but if the Hippowdon is being annoying and running leftovers, I could hit the Eviolite off of that Poipole. I wouldn't stay out against the Azumarill probably, but if I ended up forced in between it, and it's like, in case it's running a Belly Drum set, I might, you know, just hit knockoff for the heck of it depending on the situation, if I don't need Absol for anything else. Could be useful on the Electros, which is common to either run leftovers or Assault Vest, so it could be good for that. Knockoff just good in general, I mean, and it's an easy one-shot for Espeon. Not that Espeon will ever stay in or switch into it, but I mean, hey, it's an option if you make a bad prediction. You never know what might end up happening, right? Alright, so, same moves. The only thing I'm not sure is substitute that move that's highlighted right there. I'm not sure. This is just like a move that I'm not sure whether to run it. I'm not sure what other coverage move I could run instead. I'm looking at some options. I could potentially swap this one out for my naive one and run either Thunder or Fire Blast. Fire Blast would mainly be for the Excadrill and kinda sorta for the Venusaur, even though Venusaur has thick fat. Or I could run Thunder for the Volcanion and the Azumarill, and, well, that's the only thing that would really hit for super effective. So, those are options. I probably wouldn't run Thunder, though, just because I'm pretty sure he's going to have a pretty heavy ground reliance, and then also the Electros there to absorb it, and it doesn't hit the Venusaur very hard either, so whatever. That's the move I'm still thinking about. I could run Substitute, I could run Swords Dance, I could run Protect just as a scout. There are a couple of different options I could run on that. But anyway, I've got Will-O-Wisp there. Will-O-Wisp could, again, if the Excadrill is not scarfed maybe, or if I've already hit the scarf off, I could Will-O-Wisp it just to neuter it a little bit. Same thing with the Azumarill. If it's trying to get a Belly Drum off, I could Will-O-Wisp it. If Venusaur happens to be physical, like if he's just running all the Earthquakes, basically this will burn. The idea is to try to burn anything that could be a potential Earthquake user, or just any other high-hitting physical move. So, and then what was it? Sucker Punch, just there for priority. Just to, if something is fast, let's say Excadrill again is a perfect example, because Sucker Punch should do more than half to Excadrill. So, depending on the situation, maybe I've already gotten a hit on Excadrill, I could just kind of Sucker Punch to finish it off. Not that he would necessarily stay in, but you never know, like I said, the situation. Who else would be faster than me? Noivern would be faster than me, so get a hit in on it. It doesn't work against priority moves, I guess, so if Azumarill's spamming Aqua Jet, it doesn't really matter. But it's there as an option if I need priority, if I'm slowed down. Nothing on his team gets webs, as far as I know, but I guess there's a slight chance of, like, Tailwind, maybe, from the Noivern. I wouldn't expect that from a Pokemon like Noivern, because it's not usually a utility Pokemon, but you never know. It could, because he has not a lot of the fastest Pokemon. So, I mean, I could expect him to Scarf the Excadrill or something. I don't think anything on his team gets... Well, Espeon might get Trick Room. That would be a weird Pokemon to use it with, but... Yeah, he's got not super slow Pokemon, but he has a lot of Pokemon that aren't that fast. So he's got 2 Pokemon that are very fast, and then the rest of them are all like average, below average for the most part. So maybe he would run Tailwind, I'm not sure. So for whatever reason, if I'm needing priority, that's what Sucker Punch is for. Alright, so now Dhelmise, same set. Power Whip to a neutral Excadrill is on a high roll of 1-shot. There's not too much Excadrill can do to me, I don't think. I don't believe it gets Sucker Punch. I need to, you know, double check any potential dark moves it can get. I'll probably go into another folder in Showdown and just play with that a little bit to check for sure. And it just hits things hard. I mean, Earthquake destroys things. Earthquake hits. I forgot to check how it does against Volcanion. Not that I would stay in on it, because, you know, it's a fire type. However, you never know if he's not expecting it. I mean, it depends on how well he's studied my Dhelmise, but if he's not expecting the Earthquake and he switches into it from something else, maybe. To expecting, I don't know, Anchor Shot maybe, like if he had, well, I don't know, what does he have? He doesn't really have anything weak to Steel, so maybe that's not such a strategy. But it's there to do damage. It does a decent amount of damage to, well, it'll take out the Poipole for sure, that's one thing. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do the gravity strategy that I talked about with Clefable, otherwise it could also hit the Electros, but I think Power Whip will do just fine anyway. And Rapid Spin to get rid of hazards, and, well, I don't have any hazards set up of my own, but, you know, Dhelmise is also a spin blocker, but, so he doesn't have any spin blockers on my team. Excadrill could run Rapid Spin, which I'm kind of hoping he does, since I don't have any hazards to set up. Could be kind of a waste of move slot, although with Excadrill, he doesn't really need more than 2 or 3 moves to be useful. Just Iron Head, Earthquake, Rock Slide, pretty much. It has him covered. Anyway, moving on. So this Clefable is another thing that I'm not totally sure about. I mean, I have the same EV spread as before, mix of defense and special defense. Like I said, I liked that in the last match, and I kind of want to see how it goes this time. The 2 Pokemon I would never stay in on, unless I'm already extremely boosted, maybe, would be Venusaur and Excadrill. And even then, I probably wouldn't, because I can't do anything to them. But who knows, if I'm at +6 and I'm just tanking their hits, could be. Okay, so, by the way, just a little side note, Excadrill does get Sand Force and Sand Rush. I am not sure. I think it depends. If he could run Scarf with Sand Force, or he could run Band with Sand Rush, or Life Orb with Sand Rush, maybe. That might be a favorable strategy for him compared to being locked into a choice item. I don't know, so he can play it either way, but I expect either way the Sand to be a factor. Anyway, getting back to Clefable, so Moonblast, Moonlight, and Cosmic Power for sure, again, to beef up both my defenses. Pretty much everyone else on his team, that's not, well, I don't know about Poipole, to be honest, but other than Excadrill and Venusaur, I'm pretty sure that I'm in a decent shape. Oh wait, Volcanion also gets Sludge Wave, I did notice that. So I have to, I don't know, it depends on the situation, but if I can get some Cosmic Powers up, I'll be in a pretty good position against anybody else. But I'd have to be in a situation where I got rid of at least one of those 3, probably, maybe 2 of those 3. So as for the 4th move, I was bringing Thunder Wave last time. I'm between Toxic and Thunder Wave because I want some kind of, I think I want some kind of status. The question is which one. So Thunder Wave would help me against Noivern and Volcanion. Well, not that I need to slow down Volcanion, but just for like the hacks factor. It would help me against Venusaur, Volcanion. It would help me against, not really, no, not Espeon. Yeah, Noivern. Yeah, Noivern. The only thing is, it would help me against Venusaur, but I wouldn't really stay in on Venusaur, again, unless I'm just super boosted and can take a hit easily. But then my other option would be to run Toxic. And Toxic has the advantage of I can hit the Hippowdon with it in case the Hippowdon tries to stall out. I could also hit the Volcanion with it. I could also hit Noivern with it. I would have to be careful since I'm running unaware about the Espeon though. That's the kind of thing I have to weigh with that. But I could Toxic a lot of things on this team. The only thing is I can't Toxic the Venusaur, and I can't Toxic or Thunder Wave the Excadrill. And there might be a different move besides a status move that I can use, especially considering that Espeon is there. I mean, I could do Rocks as well, but once again, with the Espeon there, I don't know. I could be really evil and like run Calm Mind, or I could run like Flamethrower or Fire Blast for, well, I wouldn't stain on the Excadrill anyway. What else completely walls me that I can hit? I don't know. The things that wall me are also the things that will destroy me, so I'm not sure what to run there. Going back and forth on that, but the rest of the strategy pretty solid. I might opt for a coverage move, or for, you know, just go Calm Mind and just do some overkill with the boosting. Running unaware, this helps mostly in the event of a boosting, like a Calm Mind boosting Espeon or a belly drumming Azumarill. That's the main thing that that's for. Plus, if Excadrill happens to be a Swords Dance set or something, if Venusaur happens to be a Growth set, although I doubt it since he seems to run, like, he has Sand synergy going on, but he could maybe Z Sunny Day on Volcanion or something, I don't know. I don't know what to expect for sure, so you never know what kind of crazy strategies he could try to pull. But this is the set. So, okay, Silvally running the same split as I did before with that offense. Pretty good. Flying type again, and that's mainly for the Venusaur. I get into 2-hit KO range depending on how bulky he goes on that Venusaur. Air Slash is in 2-hit KO range. I'm not faster than it though, so I do have to keep that in mind, but I do have some bulk. I have mostly physical bulk, but I have max HP, and a little bit of natural bulk going on, so I should be able to get one hit that I survive, if that's the case. But I can also run Parting Shot. Again, works a little bit better when I'm fast, like running a fast Silvally, but it's always an option if I need a pivot. Thunderbolt is the move I'm switching out from my previous set when I had Flash Cannon. Thunderbolt is just to have an option so that Volcanion and Azumarill don't completely wall me. And then Surf is there to take care of the Excadrill and the Hippowdon. Again, I don't take hits the greatest from the heavier hitting of these Pokemon, but I have some options. Like, it's like I was saying in the previous Team Builder, where I might have a Pokemon that could come in handy for several Pokemon on my opponent's team, but not all at the same time. So, like, say, Silvally might have some good options for several of his Pokemon, but once he's tackled one Pokemon, he might be spent. Or, you know, his Pokemon are backed up by other Pokemon, so I have to back up Silvally. That's basically what I'm saying. On paper, Silvally could do some good work against a decent amount of Pokemon on this team. However, it all depends. And of course, with Hippowdon, the sand is going to be up automatically. That might be an option. I forget whether it's Sunny Day or Rain Dance. One of them Clefable can't learn, and one of them it can. That might be an option, just to mess with that synergy there. And to maybe, not Sunny Day probably, but running Rain Dance, I don't know, it would be risky because of Azumarill. Yeah, it would be risky because of a lot of these, actually. Because of Azumarill, because of Volcanion. Well, one funny idea would be to run Magic Guard instead of Unaware and just run Hail, but then I'd be hurting my own Pokemon as well, so not really worth it. But anyway, these are the moves. Like I said, could come in handy against multiple Pokemon, but probably in reality, in the battle, at most, Silvally will only help me against one, maybe two Pokemon. It's not really sweeper material with this set, but it can come in handy in a pinch if I need to just hit something. It can do it. Alright, so we got our Lycanroc going on here. Again, the reason I chose Lycanroc was because I have priority here with Accelerock. Now, unboosted, I can get in two-shot range for Volcanion. I can definitely two-shot Noivern. I can even two-shot the Espeon. If I have the Focus Sash, so if hazards, if rocks aren't up, I get in, I get a free Swords Dance, and then I start Accelerocking things. I also, the other thing here is I have, you know, I have synergy with the sand in this case. If he runs the sand, I come in, I take, I get like that little special defense boost, which could come in handy. I'm not that bulky that it'll really probably matter to these Pokemon that are super effective against me, but I'm thinking more of, like, if I'm up against Espeon, maybe, or just a Pokemon that doesn't have a stab move, but has either a coverage move or just tries to hit me without, you know, that's not super effective, I can give a little bit of a boost there. Again, just kind of looking at all the angles I can. It's not going to be a big deal that I get a boost from the sand, but it's there. It's an element in there. Drill Run, what does it do? It destroys Excadrill, but again, I have to make sure the Excadrill is A, not Scarfed, and B, not Sand Rushing. So I'm not, now that I think about it, I'm not sure how I'll find out whether it's Sand Rush. I guess depending on its item, I'll be able to tell whether it's Sand Rush, but I think either way it's gonna have a lot of speed, so I do have to be careful about that. But if need be, if my Sash hasn't been wasted, I could Drill Run one turn and then Accelerock, probably. But anyway, if I get a Swords Dance boost with Accelerock, I'll be doing crazy damage with Accelerock. I'll be KOing things with Accelerock. And then not even to mention, Stone Edge already one-shots Volcanion and Noivern. Volcanion, it might depend on how bulky it is. Almost destroys Espeon. But yeah, if I'm at +2, I'll be doing something. I was debating running Adamant and then just doing Swords Dance and spam Accelerock at everything. But I don't know, that could have a downside or two. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was a consideration. But anyway, that's the set. And we have good old Naganadel. You know, I haven't actually done my calculations for this thing yet, but as far as what I do to things offensively, but I have to be very careful about these pesky ground types. But the good thing is, compared to the previous team I was preparing for, this team only has one Fairy and just one additional Pokemon that resists Dragon. So, if I manage to be in a situation that's favorable where I can get a Nasty Plot up, I can nuke basically anything. And Azumarill will have to be careful. If it's not already boosted and I'm come in, I have Sludge Wave for it. So then once Sludge Wave is there, I mean, the Excadrill and Azumarill can play off each other to make me never entirely sure whether it's safer to go for the Dragon move or the Poison type move. But again, depending on the situation, if I get into one of my famous situations with Naganadel at the end of the battle, and I'm boosted, I can be doing a lot of damage. So again, it depends on Naganadel's usefulness for me. Always depends on how I play the earlier parts of the match. So depending on how much of a hole I got myself in, or whether I'm somewhat in a comfortable position, somewhat in an even position, it depends. If it's Naganadel versus the world, it's not gonna look good. If it's Naganadel versus maybe 2 or 3 Pokemon, depending on what those 2 or 3 Pokemon are, then it's absolutely a realistic possibility. So yeah, those are my sets. Like I said, I told you what I'm not 100% sure about, but mostly I went into more, I took more time than I really wanted to basically describe mostly the same sets that I was planning already, but hopefully I explained how I want them to apply to this team rather than the previous team. One last thing I need to go back in is to check if any Pokemon get Encore and if any Pokemon get Taunt. I believe probably a few of them get Taunt. I'm not totally sure about Encore. I'm gonna check that because Lord knows if one of them does, just with my luck, I'm gonna fall for it and GG. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're excited, please leave a like for this video, show your Orlando Solgaleo pride in the comments down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that little bell to get notifications, and I'll be out of here. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time for our PGBL Week 10 battle, finally. The real one this time, hopefully. Your Orlando Solgaleo versus the New York Charmanders. I will see you then.